Have you ever had something you wanted to remember and it went from your mind? In this video, we look at various techniques for being able to memorize information well. We will cover 5 areas: introduction and environment, visual, hearing, speaking and thinking, doing. Introduction and environment. As we look at various approaches for memorizing well, we need to understand that we are all people that remember things differently. One factor to consider is that some people think in words, others think in pictures, and some people think in both. This means that as we go through the techniques in this video, there will be some things that work really well for some people and not others. We always want to apply what works for us. Another factor is the building of repetition and recall. For each technique, we can create a schedule of revisiting and reusing a technique to help transfer information from short-term to long-term memory. As we look through different techniques across different senses, we can use them to help reinforce the memorization of something. What we memorize and how we memorize is also context dependent. The environment we are in matters. What we remember when we are in a hurry is very different to what we learn when we have more time available. Other factors such as temperature, if there is music we like or don't like, or other background noise can all have an impact. Even if we sit on a chair or a sofa, what sort of device we are using when we are learning can all impact our ability to memorize something. As much as possible, we want to select the environment around us that will be most productive for remembering things. If we need quiet, then finding a quiet space. If there is a type of music that helps us remember things, then using that to help us. We can try different types of environments for trying to memorize things so that we can get a clear idea of what works well and what doesn't. Visual. The first area we will think about is memorizing visually. We can look at information we want to learn. Whilst there are various written techniques, we will cover them in the doing section of this content. When we are talking about visuals, we are focusing on things that are visually helpful. The first area is using the imagination to visually associate information to something that is already firmly in our long-term memories. Let's say we use our home or car, something that we know very well that we find easy to picture in our minds. Then we take a piece of information and visualize it, and then we connect it to a familiar item. Let's say we have a very nice blue and yellow box, and so we put a note with a green border around the edges of the note. In the box containing the words we want to memorize, we close the box with a note in our minds. Then we can go and visualize where that box is, open it up and see the note with the green border and then the text in it. The association can be very powerful for some people in remembering information. Another aspect of visual memory is the use of color. We can associate various pieces of information with color. When we assign meaning to colors, we can then organize what we want to remember in categories of those colors. This can also work with different pictures of things, e.g. animals. We could assign a category of information we are interested in to a particular animal. For instance, let's say we assigned information about human social interaction to dogs. After all, dogs are said to be a man's best friend. We then associate information about comedy to cats, or whatever association is meaningful to us. Our imaginations are therefore a really powerful tool to help us remember things. As we build up our visual representation of information, some people like scented pens that are attached to the visual of the colour with the particular scent. This is providing sensory reinforcement of the information. We can transform what we are trying to remember into pictures using buildings, parts of the body, various aspects of nature. The more visually our mind works, the easier it will be to hold information in pictorial representation. Much more information can be placed into a single picture than paragraphs of text alone. Hearing. Listening is a great way to remember content. We often have videos, podcasts. We could have someone we trust read information to us as well. We can use music to help remember the content we are listening to, or have complete silence in the background to help us focus on what it is we want to memorize. We can hear ourselves either reading in our minds if we think in words or out loud as we read through information. Speaking and thinking. Speaking out loud words or describing what is associated with a picture is a great way to help remember information we want to memorize. As we speak, we hear the information we are speaking. When we describe a picture, we are reinforcing an association of meaning between what is in the picture and what we want to memorize. We help our own memory through tone of voice, how different content is vocally or mentally emphasized. Going back to repetition, which we mentioned in the introduction, through repeatedly speaking content out loud, it has the advantage over just thinking it because we have the extra dimension of hearing it through our ears instead of it all having the same location in the mind. Another option is to ask someone to ask us questions on the content so that as we recall it, we can be clear on what we remember and what we don't. Doing. There are some tasks which we can actually do to help us remember how it is done, like pottery, for example. However, depending on how abstract an area of understanding is, then that type of physical interaction may not be there the same way. Instead, we can use various types of writing and drawing in order to do something that helps us to memorize well. Let's say I wanted to remember the phrase, "Success is my encourager, that I have the capability and capacity to keep going. Failure is a teacher for me to learn what I otherwise would not know." We can then use mind maps so we can have the word success in the middle and branch off of it encourager, capacity, capability, and keeping going as different branches. We can do the equivalent with the word failure and branch off teacher, learning, knowledge. We can create summaries of information such as success keeps me going or failure teaches me useful lessons. We can do diagrams and drawing pictures. An example of this is a picture of a runner crossing the finish line. For failure, we have a picture of someone tripping over and seeing a treasure chest in front of them. We have seen from various examples that we can have different approaches to memorize things. We can also bring these techniques together to help things stay in our memories. The importance of repetition cannot be understated, because if your mind does not regularly use the information, over time it will be considered not important and then it will make it harder to remember. As I have improved my own memorization techniques, I have been able to hold on to important ideas that have been helpful for my own self-improvement. As you build up the memory techniques that work for you, you will be able to better remember the information you need for your own personal growth. Like birds of a feather, we grow together.